Okay, welcome to the next episode of Basic Music Theory for Ukulele Players. When you were a kid and you were at school and you took a long piece of string and you held it really tight, maybe you rubber band in your teeth or something and you plucked it, it vibrated. The four strings on the ukulele are exactly the same sort of concept in that you can tune them, make them taut, vibrate them, and they'll play a note. Now, as you make that string tighter or shorter, the pitch will go up. As you make it longer or slacker, the pitch will go down. So if you take your ukulele and you run your finger up the fretboard, effectively shortening the length from the nut up here to the bridge by putting your fingers on the frets, which makes this distance here shorter, and that's the bit that we're going to pluck. Not up here, we're plucking down here. You can see as I move up, the pitch is going up. Now, if I pluck a note or fret a note exactly halfway between the nut and the fret, as happened when you were at school, you'll notice the pitch is exactly double. It's exactly an octave. Now, that position on the ukulele is at the 12th fret. You notice it's exactly an octave higher. That's exactly halfway between these 2 points. Now, if that's the 12th fret, we've got 11 other frets in here before we get back to the A at the bottom. So we have an A open and therefore another A here and 11 spots between them. And if you remember from our first video, we talked about the alphabet. So if you have a look at your alphabet from A to A, so A all the way up to A again, we actually don't have 12 spots. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then A again. So clearly there's some extra notes that we don't know about that fit into the 12 frets of the keyboard. Now, I'm not asking you to learn all these frets by any shape or form. I'm just trying to explain the pattern behind how this all works. Let's go back to our alphabet and have a look for a second. If we subdivide the 7 notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right in the middle here, A, B, C, D, then E, F. So 3, 1, and 3. If I then say that there's a note between every single note, another note between every single note, except between E and F, you'll notice it's actually symmetrical. So we have a note here, no note. A note here, no note. It's a mirror image. All right? I'm going to take that out of there again. So now, if I say that there's a note between this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, but no note between the E and the F and the B and the C, now let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've got my 12 notes. Right? I now have all the notes that make up the frets. So we call these notes in between sharps and flats. Now, enharmonically, in other words, things that sound the same may be given different names. So you might have heard, the concept of D sharp is the same as E flat, or B flat is the same as A sharp. I'll explain how all that works now. So let's take our A string. Here it is, A. So the first note playing no frets at all is going to be A. So that's the 0 fret. I'm going to put that right here. Right? Imagine no frets at all. Now, we said that there was a note between A and the next note. So we're going to leave this first fret here vacant for a second. We're going to put a B in the next one. Then we said there's nothing between B and C, so that means I put a C straight away. And I'm going to continue all the way up here. There's a space between C and D. There's a space between D and E. There's no space between E and F. There's a space between F and G. And there's a space between G and the next A. Right? There they are. So there are our alphabetical notes with some spaces left between. Once we start adding sharps and flats, we call these progressions a chromatic scale. So the smallest interval in Western music is a half tone. It is the distance between one fret and another on the ukulele keyboard, on the ukulele fretboard. So let's work our way from this A to this A. When we go up the fretboard, we call the spaces between these letters sharps. They take on the name of the preceding letter. So A, the next fret, or the first fret here, is going to be A sharp. B, nothing between it, C. Between C and D, we're going to have C sharp. Between D and E, we're going to have D sharp. Between E and F, nothing. F to G, we're going to have F sharp. G to A, G sharp. And then we go to A again. So that's what we end up with. Going from the low A open up to the 12th fret on that first string. Now, if we come back down from the first string, we might decide we'll call them something different. We'll flatten them. I mean, literally think of going up as being getting a pointier, getting sharper, and coming down, getting squished, getting flatter. So A, when we come down, we still use the preceding letter, but then we call it flat instead. So the next gap here is not going to be G, it's going to be A something, it's going to be A flat, which we write like that. So coming back down, G becomes G flat, E becomes E flat, D becomes D flat, and B becomes B flat. And there you can see all the notes on the first 12 frets of the A string. Now, that's great. You should not learn this like learning the phone book. That'd be just insane. Only learn the notes as you need to learn them, right? The concept here, though, is the pattern that's important. It's this pattern down here that you need to remember. Because what you should do now is, when this video is finished, is take the other strings, take the E, take the C, and take the G strings, and start on that note, on this sequence, and fill in what the name of the note is at that fret. For example, E, we're going to start here. There is no sharp or flat between E and F. Therefore, the first fret here must be an F on that E string. Then the next one after E, F is a G, but there's a note between F and G, so we're going to put an F sharp in here on that E string. Then the G, then a G sharp, and so on, all the way up. And we'll get to E on our 12th fret. C will go all the way up to C on the 12th fret, and G will go all the way up to G on the 12th fret. So these increments, these one fret movements, are known as semitones or half tones in Western music. We'll talk about scales in the next video.